So when we talk about our products and the things that we offer, I think that in itself is the most important gift that we have to offer. Along with that comes incredible opportunity. We've talked about that, and we can help you know how to get started, right now and what to do next. But right now, it's just to really expose, the gift of provision that we've been given. Tonight, I'm going to focus in particular on one, because that is really where it all started, over 35, almost 40 years ago. And beginning in 1994, it began to, reach out and was put into the hands of people. And those people, again, spread far and spread wide. And literally within a matter of just a few years was known around the world. And again, by such a small pocket of people. But at that time, a few years later, by 1999, Mr. Sam Castor, who was responsible for introducing this technology to the market, he actually at that very point in time began to help serve children. And through their abundance, they were able to, naturally give. But, when they begin to support children with this level of technology, it changed everything. And while that was back in 1999, and, here we are in 2020, literally, 20 years later, we are in a position with what we refer to as social business 3.0. And social business is a little unique. What we do here is with this gift of provision is every time a person participates, to support their needs, we turn around and serve a child. And again, if you can please mute your phone, that would really, really be helpful. When you think of this, with your line, that would be really helpful. I'm not sure how to mute this myself. So, okay. I'll get this off the screen. There we go. So, when we really think of everything that began here over 20 years ago, and here we are in 2020. Sorry. If we can somehow get a little bit of, if everybody can mute their line out, that would be really helpful. I don't know if somebody can help me in muting the line, but that itself is very distracting. I'm looking at how I can best mute the lines myself. I just don't really know right now how to do that.
This one is mine.
There we go. I apologize for the interruption. So let me continue. As this ministry began back in 1999, this ministry of Manna Relief that began to serve children in orphanages, over the course of the next 5 to 7 years was at the point where they were serving close to 250,000 children in over 90 orphanages in literally 80 plus countries around the world. One of the few ministries, if not the only ministry, to get into North Korea simply because of what we do to serve these children. So when I think about where we began years ago and where we are today with Social Business 3.0, that just simply means, again, that every single product you purchase through Evolve Health serves a child one for one. If you buy one product, that's one child. 2 products, that's 2 children that you are personally serving on a daily basis every single day that you serve yourself. So whether it be one product, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 7 or more, just know that you're doing a great service. In some ways you won't probably even know, but we know, and we thank you for that. So when I lean forward here, that what I want to focus on tonight in particular is the main gift of provision, something that was brought into the marketplace by Sam Castor in the early 90s. And at the point, within just a few years was producing literally hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And to date, over these last number of years, has grown into the billions. So as this new company has been formulated and is now coming together, just know this, today in the last 4 years of the formulation of this company, we have served to date over 24 million servings of whole food nutrition comparable to what I'm sharing with all of you that you can take advantage of. So when you think about what we're doing as a movement, we've done a lot already. And here in the next 30 days, we're going to move into a space that I don't think most people could even imagine. Those of us that are here and have been here will certainly be excited. That's a small world. Enthusiastic would be a better word, because enthusiasm is just something bursting within us, and that's what we're going to find and what we're going to see here. So when I look at this gift of provision and all that, just know that's where it started years ago. We all know about aloe vera. Aloe vera is the cornerstone of ancient medicine, and every culture of the world literally was taken into battle, as far back as when Alexander the Great, was at hand. And you know what? They carried it into battle in case their soldiers were wounded, because it was something unique about what that did to help heal. And from there, we know that aloe vera is literally mentioned 5 times in the Bible. That in itself, got my attention. And I began to do even more research. And so over time, science began to look also, because in the late 70s, there was a lot of controversy going on about, aloe vera, and it fix this and heal that. And it was showing up on the shelves everywhere out in the marketplace. And so the FDA took some action. They began to look at some of these products and found that literally none of them had what was originally aloe vera in them. So there was something missing, but even though it might have been there in the beginning. So a couple of researchers at a research lab in Dallas region, known as Carrington Lab, a pharmaceutical company, actually, these 2 researchers were commissioned to look into that aloe vera plant and find out what it was that actually was making the difference. In 1985, they discovered and identified a polysaccharide, similar to a pearl necklace that had all these little molecules of what was known to be, at that time, a carbohydrate or a glycan. And while it took many years and millions of dollars in research just to break down and identify that, they now knew what the active component was. And so let me bring that up to date. In 2005, 2009, the Koreans, in doing research, they identified of that pearl necklace of those, carbohydrates, that there were different levels of fractions. There were great big ones, there were small ones, and there were medium chain. And what they found was that each one of them played a vital role in immune function. And some of the increased large sizes went straight to the gut to actually be converted to short chain fatty acids. They actually fed good bacteria in the gut. The medium chain actually were activated and sent straight, from the digestive tract into the liver, and they activated something called macrophage. And we also know the very little bitty ones, the short chains, were used in addition to build structures that allowed our cells to communicate at the cell level. Dr. Santiago Rodriguez developed the unique processing technologies for commercializing the first stabilized form of this acemannan. Now, acemannan is a scientific word. It means acetylated beta-1,4 mannan molecules. Mannose was the discovery of an actual monosaccharide, when strung together, was referred to as a polysaccharide, because there were other particular carbohydrates they found in the mix, 8 to be exact. And those 8 were found in the chains of glycoproteins, which were these structures that allows the body to function and communicate. So we know that this acemannan, this discovery, supported the body in the structure and function of all cells. It improved gut health, and it also impacted macrophage activation tremendously. So let me move on. These short chains allowed the body to produce these, structures that allowed the body to communicate at a cell level. And so when we think about that, it really is how the body, functions. And without it, it literally is how we begin to dysfunction. So when we look at that, we call that the sweet language of life. So short chains of mannose can be pumped directly into the bloodstream. They're necessary for the production of all these cellular words I called glycoproteins. The immune cells read the cell surface sugars and the structures on other cells to determine if they're healthy, they need repair, or need to be destroyed. As you can see right there, regulate me, protect me, destroy me, repair me, and nourish me. So that is how cells communicate their needs. Let me expand on that. The English language uses 4 raw materials: a long line, a short line, a big curve, and a small curve. And those 4 raw materials allow us to build letters that formulate words so we can communicate correctly between each of us. Well, the human body uses these 8 particular carbohydrates or glycans, or a very simple word, sugars. Not like sugars we think table sugars. These are very, very unique sugars that are found in specific places, that we wouldn't expect. But the body uses 8 of them to build these structures called cellular communication. So let me expand a little bit more. Here's the cellular alphabet and the 4 raw materials. And, in the bottom left, you'll see a word there. It's missing 1 raw material. And when we look at that, we go from a level of miscommunication, we put that missing component back in, and we go to a level of communication. It's really just about that simple. It might be very complex in how all this goes on in the human body, but how the body communicates and recognizes and facilitates action is all controlled correctly through cellular communication. So from there, we move on, and even the American Association for the Advancement of Science, March 23rd, 2001, volume 291, referred to these sugars, and the entire journal was devoted to this. And basically, they said missing sugars spell disaster. When cells turn against the body, as in degenerative and autoimmune type functions, research has shown that sugars are missing from their glycoprotein structures. So what we know in science is on the surface of every single cell, healthy cells have a little identifier known as sialic acid. N-acetylneurominic acid is another way to say that. That's the long term, but that is the protective molecule that basically says we're healthy, we're in good shape. If that's missing, the body turns and will attack that healthy cell as a foreign cell, such as a pathogen. And that's exactly what they're referring to in autoimmune types of disorder. Coincidentally, sialic acid is, in fact, acetylneurominic acid is one form of this glycan or this sugar. So it's real surprising when you really get down to what science has already discovered. From there, we know that the main sugar, that sugar I referred to as mannose, is found in 2 unique places on the face of the earth. One, of course, is in aloe vera, but the other one is in mother's breast milk. The human body produces this during the gestational period, is pumped through the umbilical cord to support the expression of all genetic activity, for that fetus during the growth time. And from birth, it's reversed through the mammary glands, comes out in mother's breast milk as the perfect food to set up and ignite a baby's immune system. And we know what happens to babies that are not breastfed. They actually have higher incidences of chronic illnesses and disorders throughout their entire life, not just when they're young. So we see that, and we now know why. And that is the very ingredient that cannot be duplicated and put into formulas. Incidentally, it is, or should I say coincidentally, depending on how you want to think about it, when a mama usually, when she goes into that gestational period, she becomes pregnant. A lot of times, if they're experiencing an autoimmune type of disorder, they go into remission. And science is now believing and theorizing that it's simply because the body is producing high levels of this mannose. And I think, as they say, time will begin to tell the truth. So again, it's something very, very unique. And science has all proven really how unique it is. When we look at these macrophages, let me tell you something, that is your front line of defense. Macrophage sounds like a very complicated term, but it means big eater in Greek. And these macrophages are like the night watchman. They're always, they don't take orders from anybody. They're looking out for viruses and toxins and bacteria and fungi and other invaders that are getting into the body, and they're watching for them. And so they're always on guard, and there's always going through the body. And they require mannose to be activated so they're on guard. because unhealthy cells, as they enter the body, will be tagged with mannose, of which the macrophage can actually recognize them to destroy them, as the immune system is designed to do. And, they'll do the same thing to a healthy cell when it's not recognized as a healthy cell, missing that, little simple molecule I mentioned just a minute ago. So the macrophage take action based on how it recognizes, you as self or non-self. And so that is the basis. And they are your frontline defenses against cancers and, just virtually every attack that the human body goes through on a regular basis. And when they're working fine, pretty much you are too. And when they're not, sooner or later, you know it. So let me expand on that just a little bit more. This slide right here will show you on the left-hand side, an infection where a pathogen, a virus or a bacteria or a fungi, for whatever reason, has gotten into the human body. And you can see that macrophage right there. It has something called mannose receptors. And its job is to look for those little green things around the surface of all these pathogens, because as they come in, they are tagged with these mannose molecules. And of course, as you see in the bottom left, the long chains of those are referred to as acemannan. So when the macrophage or the dendritic cells recognize those molecules and they know that that is a pathogen, an invader in the body, they take action. They start sending out chemical signals, and phagocytes come in and they encapsulate and they basically destroy that and carry it on out of the body. The same with cancer cells, which is an infected cell that is not regenerated correctly, and for many reasons, but they are also coded and tagged so that they can be destroyed. And when it's not present and they're not destroyed, they begin to replicate, and we know what that means. So, in all types of disorders, the body communicates and recognizes by this unique structure of these unique, components that are found in that aloe vera plant. So let me just kind of move on here. There's a book that was published and edited by Dr. Bill McAnally, the other researcher, along with Dr. Santiago Rodriguez, that made this discovery, and over the years has accumulated over 100 peer-reviewed published studies on acemannan, referring to mechanisms of action, integrative health support mechanisms, and also safety and efficacy. In that meta-analysis, there are studies going back as far back as the late 1800s in what science is known and is being used at the top of immunotherapy research even today. So this, again, isn't old, it's new to some degree in the sense of what science is now bringing to the surface. But it's old news from the sense, but it's something we've heard about forever. So when we think about acemannan, we know that it enhances the macrophage activity as much as tenfold. And in this day and age, you want the macrophage on guard, ready, looking for viruses and bacteria and toxins and the things that invade us every single day. While we might seem like we're in a unique time, just know that science has also been telling us for the last 20 plus years, our immune systems have been breaking down, at the rate of anywhere from 3 to some cases 5% per year. And we're getting sicker, easier, we're slower to recover. And you know what? It's not sometimes that a unique virus has come around, but our body's ability to deal with it is no longer very effective. And so we know what acemannan can do to enhance macrophage activity. We know what it also does in the areas of enhancing stem cell production. Your bone marrow will produce stem cells to help regenerate organ activity and continually rebuild systems and organs throughout the body your entire life. And, when that rebuilding process is broken down because for whatever reason your body's not doing that, we see a lot of rapid aging, degenerative types of disorders. So we can enhance that from an average of 1 stem cell per pint of blood through production all the way to as much as 200 to 300, by adding acemannan at levels higher than available in nature on a regular basis. In other words, we just supplement, and that's what we're talking here with a bottle of Immune. So it speeds wound healing by as much as 35%. Who hadn't known that forever? How healing that aloe vera can be by simply putting on a wound. It supports antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial defenses, and what a time we need that right now more than ever. It aids in the absorption of nutrients and water in the GI tract, supports proper vascular flow, supports proper cognitive function, and enhances recovery from exercise and performance. A lot of people don't realize, but over 20 years ago, Sam Castor was involved in supporting the U.S. Olympic track and field teams with the very first formula of that pure Acemannan. And even the fastest man literally on record on the face of the earth, Leroy Burrell, when he actually added Acemannan to his diet, he in fact broke his own record. And so when you think about that and a lot of the anti-doping laws over the years that have come about, supplementation is being heavily scrutinized. So if you dig deep enough, you'll find that one of the active ingredients that they still allow for high-level performers such as Olympians utilize, believe it or not, is mother's breast milk. And that raises a curiosity as to, I wonder why. So when we talk about the benefits here, it's sometimes just staring you right in the face. When we talk about this level of immune, this level of Acemannan, it's a whole different league than what it was over 25 years ago. Over 25 years ago, when the first commercialized, stabilized form of Acemannan came to market, they harvested virtually all of the gel, and through a solvent-based process, they were able to break it down and extract just the immune properties, modulating properties of that gel, the Acemannan in particular. And while they destroyed a lot of it on the processing, they actually ended up with a certain amount of the whole gel, but they actually had about 40% of that of the actual immune activating parts of that. With this new formula that Dr. Rodriguez has gifted to this movement, a fifth generation, and all the generations that people claim to be offering where it comes in the form of stabilized aloe, more than likely have Dr. Rodriguez's handprint on. But this generation, the very best, was gifted to this movement simply because we serve children. And this formula is 5.6 times more potent per gram at about half the price of what you'll find on the market today compared to the original formula, which was named Manipol. So this new formula, referred to as Immune, that we offer is what we, encourage people to start with. It is an incredible product that is integrated into every single product that we offer with Evolve Health. Tonight, I'm not going to get into all of the rest of the products. I know on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time, join us on hopemovement.live, and we will go a thorough presentation of each and every product that Evolve Health offers. But tonight, I'd like to leave you with just a couple facts. Number one, it's not just us saying how great this is. Even Dr. Renee Herte with the Dream for the Cure Foundation for Cancer Research, her statement and quote is, "Our search for the most scientifically advanced technologies for optimal immune and endocannabinoid system support led us to Evolve Health. Their unique immune modulating aloe vera Acemannan technology represents the best science I've found for immune system support, and when combined with highly bioavailable broad spectrum hemp oil, it provides an unprecedented integrative health strategy." Now I'll just stop right there. You can read it for yourself. But today, Dr. Renee Herte, in her immunotherapy research in cancer, has found that from an integrative health support, meaning her patients do better when they have a good, healthy, functioning immune system. Well, it's something we've tried to help people understand all along. But no matter how well she advances in her research and the differences that she's already made when she has combined our Acemannan along with another product we won't touch on tonight, referred to as Entourage Squared, a hydrophilic format of hemp oil combined with this unique Acemannan, provides, again, in her words, an unprecedented integrative health strategy. And so that's what we offer, and that's what they're saying. Today, Dr. Renee Herte is being adopted into everywhere from the Mayo clinics here in the U.S. and other researchers that are looking at her actual research that it has the potential to replace what we know of as chemotherapy and radiation in cancer research. So now I don't want to mislead anybody to believe that I just said our product is being used in the research at the Mayo Clinic. That is not true. She actually encourages her patients to utilize this product, and the patients she's had in her trials, she is allowed to be on it to see what the difference could be. And in her words, again, I've just read to you. So last but not least, I'm just going to leave you with something we call the Hope Pops. You know, to us, there's just nothing better. I mean, a cherry flavored sucker with no sugar, no artificial sweeteners, no artificial colors, no GMO, gluten-free, all that stuff. There's just nothing in there that's bad. You know, sweetened with pure xylitol, very dental friendly. Certainly you don't want to let your animals get a hold of one. So each pop is loaded with over 50% of the daily vitamin C, soluble fiber, in addition to over 50 milligrams of this immune activating acemannan. So I'll tell you certainly want your children running around, or should I say not running, with a sucker in their mouth. We know the rules, but to be able to have a sucker in their mouth at least twice, if not 3 times a day or more, because they can only provide more and more benefit with the more that they eat. And you know, you don't want to be stingy and just keep them to yourself, because I know a lot of people have tried them and they just don't want to give them away. But you know, there's plenty where those came from, and a lot of people are buying them in case lots simply because, you know, 3 or 4 suckers a day is equivalent to taking 1 capsule of our encapsulated acemannan. And you take several suckers a day, and you're getting an adequate support if you haven't had any at all. So enough said about all that. From there, I just will leave you with, as what I said earlier, Evolve Social Business 3.0. We actually encourage people to be a part of our movement, to help us, you know, spread the word about the things that we offer, the gifts of provision. Tonight, you've heard about our key gift of provision, the acemannan from aloe vera. And, you know, we utilize that to do something very special. Our goal is to eradicate malnutrition with children. And that's just not in orphanages somewhere in the world. That's in your home. That's in our neighbors and our friends' homes. And, you know, their children are suffering with things that, you know, at times adults only suffered with. Today, we're seeing it across the board. And so it's just not somewhere, it's right here. Tom Shoes and helping children get shoes on their feet, to get an education. Warby Parker, Soapbox. There's great examples of great companies with passion to overcome problems such as Bombas socks. So when you think about social business, it's people like us, like you, banding together to take care of our needs, and in turn doing something that individually nobody could accomplish. And our goal is, again, to impact the greatest, devastation I think that we see today, or even probably don't see. And that's the realization that over 6 million children die every single year due to malnutrition. While we watch on television the numbers of deaths that are coming from this, you know, incredibly devastating virus and COVID-19 and all of that, and you count the numbers of people that are losing their lives, think about the numbers that we're not hearing that happen every single day, every single year. And you start adding those numbers up a little bit, and you'll really realize the problem we have at hand. Because these children, you know, it's not cancers and autoimmunes and car wrecks and drunk driving. These children are dying because they simply picked up a virus, a bacteria, or maybe some other type of fungi, and their little bodies just could not defend themselves. So we've proved that for over 25 years, the benefits of acemannan, and it's come back full circle to all of us today. Think about the people you know that need to know what we just shared tonight. Think about the people you know that are crying and praying for something that will make a difference. And just know this, in the lives of over 24 million children that sat down yesterday and had a serving of whole food nutrition because somebody like you said yes. And for that, I just want to personally say thank you and may God bless you. And know that this Sunday is a very special day for people to really understand more. So good night, everybody. And as always, may God bless you indeed.